Welcome everybody to part 3 of our Mount Rushmore of Nerddom series. I'm Andrew,
And I'm Chris.
and you're listening to the Nerd Squadron 535.
So, I believe last time we were here, we were talking about anime
Yeah,
and
talking about our
extension
most
manga
iconic
stuff.
anime franchises.
Yeah,
I think we both kind of agree that One Piece,
it's just damn
like,
good.
that's the one we could both agree
Everyone
on
likes
is
One Piece.
super iconic.
Whoever doesn't like One Piece is lying about it.
Yeah, if you don't, if you're a big anime fan and you say you don't like One Piece, you either haven't actually watched it or you're lying. It's really that simple.
And it's for I could forgive you if you didn't watch it or the whole way through because it is a lot.
It is a lot.
But
or like maybe if you don't like the Skypiea arc.
or maybe it takes a while. It's a build up, but it just keeps building up. That's the thing.
Because I'm not gonna lie, I don't really care for those two arcs.
You don't care for Skypiea?
I don't. I don't find it that entertaining. Other than his Baka song.
Sacrilege. I like Skypiea. I thought the build up to the very end was hilarious.
After a rewatch of it, I definitely appreciate it more, especially with the Wano arc going on.
As weird as it sounds, like my least favorites were Fishman Island and I'm a bit like not into what was it, Dressrosa.
Yeah.
Because it kind of carried itself out a bit too long.
Yeah. But anyway, so today we're going to talk about our most iconic film franchises.
Yeah, and like film has been huge in like nerd culture, like all the way back when like they started making sci-fi flicks and horror flicks. But we want to see which one will actually be worth putting on a Mount Rushmore of nerddom that can be an icon for like what it means to be into film as a nerd. So, if you had a favorite, what would it be?
My favorite?
Like the first choice.
Like number one?
Yeah.
I would. For me, it's probably the Dark Knight trilogy.
Okay.
Just because that trilogy really changed the landscape of how we view comic book films, and it really took it up a notch.
Okay. I mean, like, I really like the Dark Knight trilogy, like, because it brought the superhero genre into a direction that, you know, it could be, like, a lot more sensible compared to, like, say, like, other, like, franchises like Superman or Spider-Man to a degree. I really think that it was great for everybody. Like
it really was. So like I think Batman Begins. You know, obviously I've talked a bit about the suit on TikTok and on here. I think the Batman Begins suit is phenomenal. I wish it wasn't all black, but like that suit, perfect. I think that movie was damn near perfect.
I thought Heath Ledger's interpretation of the Joker was spot on. Like his like envelopment into like his embodiment of like what it means to be the Joker was very unique, and that it actually was very menacing in compared to like previous Jokers. Like I wouldn't want to put Mark Hamill on there because he's like an animated voice actor person. But for example, Jack Nicholson wasn't like in comparison, like non-comparable.
So while I think Heath Ledger did a great job, I don't think he's the best Joker.
You don't think so?
I don't.
Okay. Who do you think is the best?
So for live action, honestly, I'd have to say Cesar Romero.
Cesar Romero?
Yep.
Okay.
Because like you gotta think about the time periods and everything. So like you think back to the '60s, which granted neither one of us were even a thought. My parents weren't even alive in the '60s.
Okay.
Like Cesar Romero was exactly like the Joker in the comics, which, as you are very aware, I want accuracy. Like I want it, and I want it now.
No, I totally get what you mean. You just want it to be like the films come alive. I mean, the comic books come alive type of situation.
I think to a certain degree, all comic book movie fans want that.
It's just that like I feel as time went on, like, you know, it got more grittier Batman.
Yeah.
So like there had to be a Joker that matched that.
Yeah, that's thanks to Frank Miller.
Yeah, for the most part.
Thank you for Dark Knight Returns.
But yeah, it totally makes sense. I think the only thing I have to disagree.
I do love Jack Nicholson's Joker.
I mean, he does a great job trying to be more comical. It gives definitely that comic book feel when watching those films.
Yeah, I think Heath Ledger was great. I don't think he's the greatest version of the character, and I hate that at this point we can't have Joker anymore without him, whoever the actor is, being compared
to Heath Ledger. Well, I mean, that's kind of why I agreed like with like your choice. Like, it's a good idea because of Heath Ledger. Is because, like, despite how you may feel about his portrayal of the Joker, he left a huge impact on like people who want to fit that role again.
The Dark Knight itself is absolutely iconic. Unfortunately for me, the third movie does fall off hugely.
I mean, I actually liked it. I'm gonna be honest with you.
I hate Tom Hardy as Bane.
I like Bane. I like Bane, and I like the whole pit scene and stuff like that.
I'm sorry, I can't stand Bane sounding like Sean Connery.
That's what makes it so good.
No, it doesn't.
It makes it like
Bane should
straight
not
up.
Be like, it appears you have stolen my voice. Like,
I mean, like,
it's garbage.
It's because it's not accurate. It's his own take. I mean,
why
like,
it's garbage.
I get what you mean, though.
Also, I didn't like the Talia angle for the movie. And honestly, Anne Hathaway just didn't do it for me as Catwoman.
I mean, you can't have perfect films all the time, but you can have like worthwhile like films, especially franchises for sure.
Like, for the original plan for Dark Knight Rises, was to have Joker come back, and obviously
he couldn't
happen because of Heath Ledger's unfortunate passing. But the movie is what it is. It's a good ending to the franchise. There's just certain aspects of it I personally don't want to see, and quite frankly, I've watched it like 2 or 3 times, and I wouldn't want like a Dark Knight 4 at all. No. Well, it's not one of those movies where like, I would actively go back and rewatch. Where I will go back and I'll rewatch Batman Begins. I will rewatch The Dark Knight. Dark Knight Rises just doesn't do it for me.
For some reason, I'm not too big a fan though of like Christian Bale's portrayal, and I like Christian Bale. I
think he's an excellent Bruce Wayne.
Not an excellent Batman.
No, I don't think he's a good Batman. He can't fight worth a damn.
I mean, like, when it comes to being like rich and stuff, he has a good past in acting to act like a rich.
He does the rich
guy.
Asshole
very
well. But for me, he never was really truly Batman.
Yeah, I mean, like, you gotta have a.
However, and it's because of the Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises. I think Batman Begins, he was definitely on the right track, and then Dark Knight happened, and
that's fair. Like, yeah, that's the thing that people. It's kind of hard to interweave when it comes to like directing and stuff, especially with actors, because when you're playing a superhero movie hero, you're playing 2 roles. If their like identity was a huge part of it, like to be Bruce Wayne and Batman and stuff, like you gotta basically play 2 characters, and if you just fall off on one of them, people are just gonna want just half the movie.
There's only been 2 actors I feel have truly done a good job of separating the 2 sides, and it's Val Kilmer and Ben Affleck.
I thought Ben Affleck did a good job. I don't think Michael Keaton did a bad job as Bruce Wayne or Batman. I just think that
I think he's a better Batman than he is Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, I mean, you can see where he has a strong
just
suit.
Like George Clooney, great Bruce Wayne.
Not so great Batman.
Okay, Batman.
Okay.
Christian Bale, great Bruce Wayne. Okay, Batman.
That makes sense.
Ben, good as both. Val, good as both. Robert Pattinson, great Batman. Has the potential to be a great Bruce Wayne.
Okay. I think that makes sense.
That's just for me.
No, I get what you mean. I mean, like the Batman, like I mean, the Dark Knight trilogy is a great amount, but I mean, like you have to like compare it to like the rest of the
Yeah.
Batman franchise, especially when it comes to film. But they all were. I didn't have any problem with much of them. I didn't. There wasn't a Batman movie I thought that was objectively like horrible, despite like people calling back to like I think it was Batman and Robin and like Batman Forever.
Yeah.
But I didn't have any problem with those.
Go back and watch those movies.
Mm-hmm.
Like the cinematography for those is gorgeous. Like Gotham is gorgeous.
Absolutely.
That's probably my favorite Wayne Manor.
The Batcave.
I dig the Batcave. It's very techy, but it still has the cave aspect.
Also, the villain sets.
Yeah, like
especially with Batman Forever, like with like Two-Face's whole like lair and everything like that, with like dual stuff.
Like, you go back and rewatch Batman and Robin. The worst part about that movie is the dialogue.
That's really the only thing people come up with, just catchphrases and stuff, because it feels comic booky, but mean it to a bad point because it's silly.
About the whole movie, but usually the biggest complaint is the bat nipples and the puns.
Yeah,
like,
who cares?
Get over the nipples, okay? It happens.
Bat nipples.
It's a thing.
It is what it is.
It's done. I hope the next suit has nipples. Next franchise.
So I honestly think like I don't want to say this, but I mean like I did enjoy like it up until like the point where it ended up progressing even further. But its impact is undeniable in my opinion. I'm going to think the top one might be Star Wars, honestly.
That's definitely one of my picks. I'm not even gonna lie. It wasn't my next pick.
I mean, like, I didn't want to pick it just because of how do I say it, current, and they made, like, the new movies and stuff. Like, they made it very much, like, drama-esque when, like, the previous movies were, like, more opera-esque.
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe it.
I think you're on the right track. You know, the original movies are definitely... The first 6 are definitely a space opera.
Yeah, especially, like, it's a tragic story, but
it is.
The
newest ones are just...
They kind of just feel like movies, adventure movies, and that's it.
Yeah, well, you watch, The Force Awakens? Was that the first one in the new trilogy?
Yeah.
So you watch that, and it's basically just a carbon copy of...
New Hope, right?
Of A New Hope. That's all it is. J.J. Abrams remade A New Hope.
And I think, like, they just did a horrible thing by swapping directors mid-trilogy like that. And it was, like, you're not watching a series, like, as its full set and trying to digest it from there, like, to understand it.
The other thing I think for Star Wars is they just completely got rid of George Lucas.
I mean, like, no, but the thing is, like, I wish they had, I'm sure they had George Lucas, like, give ideas maybe for like what they wanted or like
sure
have talks with him.
They didn't want any of his ideas.
None of his ideas.
Yeah, no, because I think he was originally because he planned another trilogy, and he was like, "Hey, this was what I wanted to do," and they're like, "Yeah, no, we're just gonna do our own thing because it's Disney."
Yeah, that's one of the sad things about buyouts like that.
Yeah, no, I think there are some things Disney has done that's okay, like Rebels is apparently super good. Mandalorian.
I like Mandalorian.
I actually haven't watched it.
I heard Rogue One was really good.
I don't like Rogue One.
You don't like Rogue One?
Yeah, to me, I understand the importance of Rogue One, but to me, it didn't feel like a story that was super needed.
Yeah, it felt like a supplement in a way.
Yeah.
I mean, like, here's the thing, right? Like, the original, what made the original 6, I'm going to start with the original 3. What made the original 3 so magical was that believe it or not, George Lucas put some thought. He did put some thought in the movie and how he handles philosophies and stuff like that. Like, the whole thing was basically just having a collision between Eastern and Western stuff, like philosophies. And I know I'm talking like Joseph Campbell here. He said the same thing in a way. But, like, to have, like, this idea of, like, knights and, like, armies and stuff like that, colliding with this concept of the Force is, this force that encompasses all around us and stuff, ideas of, like, honor and stuff like that. It was huge. It was a huge theme in Star Wars, especially in regards to, like, how the Sith act, for example, how Darth Vader acts with his soldiers, and how, despite everything, they just want to like have a new hope of freedom against like the Empire.
Yeah.
I really like the themes encompassing that, but also like the idea that all of these things are interconnected, like Luke Skywalker's and Darth Vader's relationship and stuff like that, as like a father son, and how like Obi-Wan was like in a way more of like a father figure to Luke than anything because of his training.
Yeah.
All of that, like, it all matches and stuff, and like with the prequels, despite like people complaining about like the CGI and stuff, or like the actors and stuff.
What was so wrong with the CGI?
I don't think there's anything wrong. Like looking back, I mean, like it looks like it was
It
of its
still
time,
looks
but it's
good.
not bad.
Like think of like Spawn.
Yeah,
Came out 2 years before Phantom Menace.
that
It's leagues ahead of Spawn in terms of CGI.
I mean, Spawn was just awful with the CGI, but it was a good movie. I mean, like to do all that was difficult enough as it
was,
is.
and like I think Spawn was ahead of its time.
Yeah,
But
but
you know, you think about that, and then you have like Jar Jar. And I don't understand all the hate Jar Jar gets. Like
he's kind of annoying.
he's a stupid, funny character. Get over it.
I think, not to say anything like it's like, I'm just gonna be honest. Like if they removed him, nothing. Like I feel like there would have been no change in the film. Like they didn't need him exactly.
Yeah.
So I understand where people have that complaint,
I-
but like,
He added a slight bit of comic relief, and honestly, that's all he really needed to do. Because
I feel like he was there to just attract kids, like to see the
pretty
movie.
much, yeah. Like,
I think there's nothing wrong with that in the slightest, but like, it's just like, I don't think, for example, Indiana Jones had like a Jar Jar. You know what I mean? They kind of got the comic stuff from like the scenes and action and
That's
stuff like
fair.
that. Improvised and stuff like that.
I don't know, it was a different time.
They were trying something new.
Yeah,
I don't
and-
blame them, and they only did it for one movie. I'm not.
Yeah, because Jar Jar's not really in the other two.
He's not a major role, so I'm appreciative of
But
that.
like, if Jar Jar is the worst thing about the trilogies for me,
Then that's good. That's
Yeah.
good. But like,
Hayden Christensen, I love him as Anakin.
yeah, like that's the whole thing, right? Like the first 3 movies made it seem like it was about Luke, but when they added to the first 3, the whole thing is actually all about Anakin. He's like the star, like essentially, like he's from the birth to death. They have him like not birth to death, but like from childhood to death. He was a huge integral part of everything that happened.
And I don't care what anyone says, Anakin was the chosen one.
I mean, like in a way, he did. Like how are you supposed to bring balance to the Force if you're like only light side? I mean, like he actually did. He was on both sides, and in a way, like everything that he's done culminated to like stopping the Empire altogether, like Emperor Palpatine and everything. So in a way, he did, despite like
He did. So he destroyed the Emperor. Granted, I don't think no one knew that he had clones. So there's that.
but like
For a brief period of time, he brought balance to the Force. He destroyed the Sith. So
and the funniest thing about it is he destroyed the Sith exactly the way the Sith would have done from becoming apprentice to master. Because for the people who don't know, like an apprentice has to kill his master, become the new Sith Lord,
Yep.
and that's exactly what spoilers Vader did to Palpatine.
okay, that movie came out almost 50 years ago. I think I don't actually know. I think it was like early 80s.
If you haven't seen it now, then what the hell have you been doing? Like
Exactly.
you're missing out. But the sequels kind of just ruin it for that sense, because like I remember like in the last film, like they had Palpatine come back, and it's like you just squandered any sense of like accomplishment Anakin has done before his death. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it kind of made the entire first six movies like not needed.
It just felt like you're just trying to call back to it, and that's it. You just bring all these other people back just to sell toys, which that didn't work, obviously.
Yeah.
Like,
And like characters that they could have brought back, that they probably should have brought back, like Mace Windu.
He's dead though, isn't he?
No, I think Samuel L. Jackson had a conversation with um, George Lucas, and I think George Lucas was like, "No, he's not dead." So like, Mace Windu is probably very much still alive out there.
Like the thing is,
At least he could be from like the Obi-Wan series.
what made me so mad about the sequel trilogy was that they had so much content they could have used. The extended universe and literature that they made afterwards that expanded and that had everything to, like, they had a lot of like content to handle. But they chose to just scrap it all and just put it, listen, we're just going to do this thing because we want to sell these ideas, like,
We want
sell
to do
toys.
it ourselves instead of doing what's already
We want
been
something
done.
for the current audience, which is dulled out and like ADD inflicted. You know what I
But
mean?
the issue with that is like the current audience wanted the books.
They wanted, like, the fans wanted the books, you know, but they did, like, the saddest part, they didn't really think about what the fans want. They only did enough just so they can keep calling back, say, hey fans, remember this? Yeah, we remember it too. Now pay attention to the rest of the things you don't want. You know what I mean? Like, it kind of bugs me in that sense because, like, the thing with, especially when it comes to like making these things, these films, is that you're not just making it for the current audience. Despite, I know you gotta meet the shareholders' expectations. You gotta make it for
everyone, but you also
well, it's not just everyone.
Your key audience should be the diehard fans.
Well, not just that. Like, you can't just make it for everyone. Like, now, you gotta make it for everyone in the future as well.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, like, you gotta have people look back and look at these movies, like, and say, you know what, this was worth it. This is a sign of like how far we've gone in terms of cinematography and filmmaking and storytelling at this time, but we never do.
Yeah,
so
it has to have that certain level of rewatch value.
And that's why I see a lot more people like just looking back to these older things, and they just kind of want to ignore these things, and that's a tragic thing, especially for Disney. Like, they want it, like, if Disney should make these like great things, they need to be like the people who do milestones and stuff, like when they work with Pixar, when they do other Disney films and stuff like that. When they have Touchstone, people don't think about that too much, the studio. But like, we've settled for mediocrity, and that's kind of what bugs me about it. But
speaking of mediocrity, my next franchise,
oh boy,
MCU.
The MCU? You think that's ready for the Mount Rushmore nerddom?
I do. For the simple fact of how huge it's become. Like, you, at this point, you can't really go anywhere without seeing something Marvel related.
See, like, I've seen people's reactions to like the Infinity War and Endgame stuff, and I know how big it is for these for the audience, and I'm not going to deny that in the slightest.
Like, the MCU has had a huge impact on our culture. And you really got, like, it's really done a lot of great things for Marvel. Because, like, before the MCU, had you ever heard of Guardians of the Galaxy?
No.
Had you ever heard of, let's see, Shang-Chi?
No.
Let's see, who else is, Falcon? Winter Soldier?
Nope.
You knew the big ones. You knew Thor, you knew Spider-Man, Hulk, and Iron. Like, there were a lot of people that didn't know who Iron Man was.
I mean, I knew what he was. I just didn't care. I mean,
yeah, like the MCU has done wonders for Marvel because it made people actually care about their characters.
I mean, like, on one hand, I do agree with you that they used underutilized Marvel franchises and stuff in a great way that brought more people to like Marvel, the franchise, like the whole brand,
Yep.
the cinematic universe and everything helped. I just think in terms of like long term, I think it's had a hugely negative impact.
Yes. I think at this point it's starting to become more negative, but in the beginning it was a huge positive
Like,
for comic books, comic book characters, and comic book films in general.
I agree. Like, I feel like if they ended it at Endgame, they would have just been settled as the best MCU franchise. Period. Everything else could be just little things. They didn't have to make another arc, and they didn't have to have all these things set up. They could have just made like movies here and there,
Yep.
and then they would have been just fine with new visions and stuff like that. But
Yeah, I honestly think Marvel could have ended with Endgame, hence the name, and like that whole franchise be done. Their universe is safe. All the things. Granted, there would have been a lot of stuff that people still wanted to see from it, but at the same time,
it's okay because
it's okay.
they ended it on a powerful note.
Granted, I did like Infinity War better.
Mm-hmm.
I do think Infinity War is the better movie. It's just like think of everything after
For-
Endgame.
Everything was for the most part like forgettable.
Like Love and Thunder, awful. Spider-Man,
Forgettable.
like people remember Andrew and they remember Toby, and they remember Willem Dafoe. But name one other iconic part of that movie.
There ain't. It was a very safe. It was a very safe movie.
It was. And for the most part, I did like it. Like, it's not a bad movie. It's just...
It's not a great movie.
It fed so much off nostalgia, which unfortunately is a huge part of the current slate for MCU, is that it's banking too much on nostalgia.
I think I kind of felt that for the Multiverse of Madness, Doctor Strange, because it's callbacks to like some nostalgic stuff was very subtle and not at all related to the MCU in general, but mostly just because of like Bruce Campbell's directing and like, Bruce Campbell portrayal. Sam Raimi's directing and Bruce Campbell's like little like method acting he did. I mean, it was a callback to like Evil Dead and like the way Multiverse was very like kind of horror like directed like in terms of like vibe, I guess, for the movie, the tone.
Yeah.
But like I got them mixed up because they both always in the same types of films every now and then. But I mean, for the most part, everything after Endgame was just like forgettable or downright like.
I did really
like,
love Shang-Chi though.
I mean,
I think Shang-Chi was great.
I'm sure it was good. I didn't see that one, but I'm thinking like I haven't heard anybody talk about it, and probably like because they didn't care.
Yeah, well, it came out 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna say it. People are still talking about Man of Steel and Batman v Superman and the Zack Snyder movies. People are still talking about those. No one's talking about Shang-Chi. No one's talking about.
It was just a matter of like they got there first, so and like in terms of like comic book, cinematic universes and stuff go. But I think like what kind of bugs me though, like with MCU, is that the way they write scripts and stuff like that, or how they have everything set up, it left a bad precedent. So now that everything like even adjacent to like something like nerds or fans will watch, is always going to be something with like some sort of like quick quips of
it's
comic
not even
relief.
Just anything in comic books. It's all movies at this point have, if they don't have the little one-liners or this and that like the MCU does, it fails in the box office.
Yeah.
The only things that have nothing like the MCU that have come out lately that have just completely knocked it the hell out of the park are Top Gun Maverick and Avatar.
I just think like they found a formula, and they've been like hitting it to a T, like verbatim, like over and over again. And, and now people are starting to notice all these patterns with these characters, and they realize there's no substance to any of it.
Yeah.
Like the thing is like, if you gotta like, despite all the fantastical elements with regards to superheroes, especially like you gotta portray like real people, like the illusion that they're real people,
Yeah.
And real people have flaws, weaknesses, and they have like the desire to overcome it. That's a hero's journey. But like these new movies that are coming out, they're not so much like struggles they're having to deal with, but like just struggles that are forced on them by like the plot, and they're obviously going to overcome it. but you just know they're gonna overcome it. But it's not like you're not like you're not expect like if you're sure about what's happening and you're not like
If you're not,
gripping your chair like what's gonna happen, then you're doing a horrible job.
yeah, like in the MCU, it's become so blatantly the same. You know, like there's like you were saying, there's no moments where you're like gripping your chair, like you can't, like you don't know what's gonna happen next because you can probably take a really good guess of what's gonna happen next.
And that's the sad part. That's kind of what I don't like about these new ones, because like, the good guy's gonna win, and if they don't win, they're gonna win the next movie.
I think the only MCU movie of late that I've remotely had that kind of reaction was Spider-Man. Like,
No, the second movie.
no, the last one that came out.
Okay.
Not the animated one. I haven't seen.
It was No
yet.
Way Home, right?
Yeah, No Way Home. There we go. But like the moment when Peter is about to kill Green Goblin,
He was.
you're just like, that's the only point in the MCU in a long time I'd be like, oh my god.
He's gonna like.
And then
Toby stopped him, didn't he?
Toby stops him. There's another moment in that movie. That's when Aunt May died. Because I don't think any of us really expected that moment to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, however, appreciate how they did that, giving her the Uncle Ben speech of with great power comes great responsibility.
I mean, like.
I didn't appreciate that. Like, I don't appreciate the fact that the MCU completely got rid of Uncle Ben altogether.
I mean, like, they had to put it somewhere. I'm not gonna blame them entirely, but no, I agree with you. I mean, I felt like an Uncle Ben type of like thing to say. I didn't expect Aunt May from No Way Home to ever say that. Yeah. She doesn't seem like the character who would.
But, and this is something I saw a really long time ago, when there were still rumors of if Andrew and Toby were going to be in the movie. Something I think that would have been really cool is if when Tom's Peter saw the two of them, like, Toby Spider-Man looks like his Uncle Ben, and Andrew's Spider-Man looks like his dad. And he's standing there super confused, like, what are you doing here? Because he thinks it's his uncle and his dad. I think that would have been a really cool moment to have. That would have brought a lot of emotion to it.
Yeah.
You're Spider-Man? You can't be Spider-Man. I'm Spider-Man.
It's silly. Yeah, I think they did that just for the meme,
They did.
I mean, like.
That meme became too popular.
Yeah, I after like Spider-Verse, I kind of realized how memey Spider-Man is. I mean, like. It is what it is. So.
I will say, the first Spider-Verse movie that came out a couple years ago, I loved it. I thought it was great. I haven't seen the second one yet, so I've heard nothing but good things about it.
Yeah. I mean, I hope to see the third one. I mean, like, I don't know how it's going to go. I mean, like, they kind of, like, dropped the ball by delaying it.
Yeah. But, so I think the next most iconic franchise, and personally, this is what I truly think really kicked off geek culture to what it really is today. Star Trek.
I mean, I wanted to say that, but having two star space things, I was kind of like, which one should I pick? And with film, if you have film Star Wars, with TV Star Trek for sure. I mean,
well, you can't.
I guess they're one and the same in a way.
I don't think we can really have nerd culture
without
how it is today
without Star Trek.
Star Trek.
It's at its core like what it means to be a super fan, like nerd, especially
Exactly.
with like sci-fi elements and stuff like that. Like it attracts a lot of nerds.
I'm not a fan of Star Trek. My dad is.
I love Star Trek. I liked, especially in Next Generation of Deep Space Nine, especially Deep Space Nine.
So I liked the movies with Chris Pine that came out.
The new ones?
Yeah, the newer movies. I thought those are great. I think J.J. Abrams knocked those out of the park. And I think that's why they wanted him for Star Wars. But I don't know a whole lot about Star Trek. I've I've tried watching it. I just can't get into it that much. I know the guy from Reading Rainbow's in it.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, he
He's
is.
the guy with the thing on
Visor.
his eyes.
Yeah.
Well, I think that is probably the most iconic franchise.
Oh, by far. Like especially when it comes to world development, that like the amount of like love put into like building the world of Star Trek is immense.
Yeah.
That you can create an entire like history with all these like different factions and characters.
Well, there's also like you can see it like in Guardians of the Galaxy, like the Nova Corps, with like how the ships are and all the things like that. That's a huge Star Trek reference,
Yeah.
and it's obvious that there's a huge imprint of Star Trek on everything.
Like I'm sure like all
Well,
these
not everything, but a lot of nerd culture.
like I'm sure like for the most part like when people design spaceships for these movies, they always look back to like how Star Trek did it or how Star Wars did it when it comes to like designing these things, because they were the pioneers of it.
Yeah, and, like it's Captain Kirk, one of the most iconic heroes of nerd culture ever.
One
William Shatner, man.
one thing people like kind of overlook is a lot of these actors from Star Trek and the TV shows, they all did theater.
Yeah.
Like they're excellent at having drama done. They know when to be emotional and when to like show like the feeling of like conviction and like like fear and stuff like that, even if it's like you can't see it like you would in a cartoon for once.
Yeah.
But like
I would say that's a more correct statement for old Star Trek.
yeah, no, that's why I'm trying to reference old Star
Okay.
Trek. Like a lot of it is like oriented towards like I guess thoughts, like philosophical ideas about like how to handle these things, and you like I'm sure a lot of them like thought, hey, what if this is like how the real world acts, like with like a betrayal or like how to again overcome odds with like hope that you can push through,
Yeah.
and his determination and stuff, and that stuff is like all throughout Star Trek and stuff, and like I think people kind of just overlook that because like even though it's sci-fi, it's still like a drama. It's a drama about different factions and war, about like hard like disaster and like people like, and especially the relationship between characters on the ship. It's just a lot to do. I mean, like especially with Deep Space Nine.
Yeah.
Have you seen Deep Space Nine?
I think the most I've seen, I think it's the one with what's his name, Patrick Stewart. I've seen.
Next Generation.
Yeah, I've seen a bit of that because that's the one my dad really likes. I think that's the one with the guy from Reading Rainbow.
Yeah, that's LaForge.
Yeah.
Like so, Deep Space Nine actually happens like in the middle of Next Generation.
Okay.
So it actually starts off as a tragedy in a way because you're probably not going to see the whole Next Generation, are you? So
No.
Patrick Stewart, Jean-Luc Picard, was captured and turned into this cybernetic creature known as the Borg. So he's part of this collective hive mind that runs in space cubes that try to assimilate and destroy everybody around them.
Spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't got there.
Just get to there. I mean, like you're missing out. So the captain, the protagonist of Deep Space Nine, Cisco, he was affected because his ship was attacked by the Borg, captained by Jean-Luc Picard when he was assimilated, and he lost his wife, and so him and his kid was reassigned to it was a station that's orbiting this planet that was just liberated from war. But the whole story, right? It's just I know you're already like it's a lot to take in.
It's a lot.
But like the whole thing is not just about like the tone of it. It's not about adventures or like these like what do you call those platitudes of like how to like dictate your life better. So it's about the drama between like the characters and like the hardships they felt like from war, like the wars they've been fighting. So it's this is about adventure and stuff like that, and like like you have all these people like just having like these crazy things. These are like real people who dealt with a lot of crap, like sleazy people, or there's people who are like just traumatized and stuff. And the tone shift is dramatic, but it makes it stand out in an excellent way. And As you can see, I like Star Trek a lot. I mean, from that sense.
That's fine. I just never really got into it. Maybe I should probably, try actually watching it.
Yeah, it's a slow burn. A lot of it is dry. I will give you that sometimes, but it's great. It's a nice slow burn, and the quality doesn't really diminish with the in between these series. But like,
I definitely think it's one of, if not the most iconic franchise, just for what it has done for nerds.
have you seen there's this parody movie, I don't know if you've seen it. It was really good. I actually liked it. It was called Galaxy Quest.
I love Galaxy.
I love Galaxy Quest so much. It was hilarious. I mean, like, it made, I liked how the nerds just believed the show was an actual thing, and they just like had that vain hope.
That movie definitely hardcore makes fun of Trekkies,
But in a way that's
also
being endearing to them.
Yeah.
Because it shows they actually do love it. They know they love it, even though they can be annoying and like they have these like weird quirks about like how much they know about this show that they, even the actors and stuff, didn't have any idea what they were doing.
Yeah.
That like, you can't have that anywhere else, and that's kind of like why I like being a fan of something in the first place, or being a nerd for something in the first place, because like someone's gonna have that like fixation or dedication to something that.
Yeah.
To see, yeah, I mean, if you can see deeper into something that like the people who are making it can't, that shows that you care more about it than they do.
Yeah.
No, not. I think that might be wrong. You care about it probably as much as they do, because they're the ones who actually try to bring it into fruition.
I think that's a great stopping point for us today. Remember to check us out on Instagram, check us out on TikTok. We're over there now. I'm getting a lot of stuff up there.
Yeah, TikTok, believe it or not, is actually like a fine platform. If you go past all the viral videos that come out, like it's great for getting quick videos and stuff about our topics and stuff we want to talk about.
Yeah,
that won't elongate to half an hour or so, but
just go check us out on there. Check us out on other stuff. Check out our other videos. Let us like, subscribe, comment. Let us know what you think. Tell us your favorite things.
Yeah, well, tune in to in the next week or so. We'll be showing who we chose for the most iconic for part 3, and we'll talk about part 4, which I believe we're going to talk about internet personalities, especially on like YouTube, anywhere else.
Remember Vine?
Remember Vine? I miss Vine. TikTok's basically Vine of now.
Yeah.
I hate it. I mean, I love it. I love TikTok, but I miss Vine.
I'm Andrew.
And I'm Chris.
And as always, we are
the Nerd Squadron 535.